super excited to have you guys all here with me today. As you know, this month we have been highlighting and amplifying women who are doing some exciting things here during this time of great change. And I'm so excited to bring for you today my friend and colleague, Robyn Smith. How are you, beautiful?
Hello, I'm very good. Thank you. Happy to be here.
So lovely to have you. So just so everyone that's watching, whether you are catching us live or the replay, go ahead and drop your comments. Let us know that you're here, where you're joining us from. And the lovely Misha, she'll be tracking your comments underneath this Facebook video and making sure that me and Robyn will be able to engage with you here on Zoom. So definitely do engage with us underneath the video. So let's go ahead and get started. So Robyn is committed to helping women and couples to shift from frustrated to fulfilled in their relationships. She believes that true connection is everyone's greatest longing and birthright. Yet layers of complex trauma have interfered with people's ability to enjoy ease and harmony in their relationships. She helps her clients to unwind what's in the way of experiencing true connection and satisfaction so they can feel fulfilled and joyful. Robyn is the founder of Conscious Thriving Relationships, the Rock Your Relationship Women's Coaching Group, an award-winning speaker, and she created the Healthy Relationship Sisterhood, a thriving free Facebook community of women supporting each other to uplevel their relationships and learn from Robyn's free weekly training. She is a body-centered relationship coach certified to work with developmental and complex trauma. She's also a certified Anusara yoga instructor trained in sky dance and tantra and has been teaching yoga for over 26 years. She offers an online yoga membership with Patrick, her husband of over 19 years. Robyn enjoys a simple life with the company of her best friend and partner, Patrick, and an awesome community of nature-loving friends. She's a passionate gardener, teacher, dancer, and spends her free time traveling, hiking in the redwoods, and playing on the beach with friends. So good. So tell us, where are you joining us from, first and foremost?
I'm on the north coast of California.
Yay, Californians!
Yeah.
So lovely to have you here.
Way up near Oregon, just an hour and a half from the Oregon border in the area of Arcata, which is where Humboldt State University is.
Yeah. Beautiful. Because I know last time we connected, you're traveling. You are a traveling entrepreneur. We want to talk more about that. Totally a woman living on purpose. And so just to kick us off, I'd love to hear, what does on purpose mean to you?
Well, consciousness is the first word that comes to mind when I think of that, because it's so intentional. I think of on purpose as intentional and bringing our conscious intention to what we're doing, and making choices. So conscious choices about our lives. That's how I think about that. And so my life is completely on purpose. Nothing that I'm doing is an accident. And I've really, taken a lot of time to consider what I want for myself and how I want that to look, and where and how I want to be in the world. And so that's how I think of it, that we get to design our lives, like they say, conscious lifestyle design, or that's what on purpose means to me.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yes, absolutely. You are totally on purpose with your life and your work. And so let's share more about what you do, and how did you come to be a body-centered relationship coach, and what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So I've been a yoga teacher for 26 years now, and was doing yoga before that. I was a dancer, I was a gymnast, so I've always been a mover. And through my yoga career, teaching teacher training and retreats and workshops, and now we do online yoga, I just remember wanting to be able to offer more depth than I could. And even teacher training, there's a lot of depth there, but it's not one-on-one, it's always the group, which is really wonderful too. But it's not so personal, it's more philosophy. And I loved studying yoga philosophy and Buddhist philosophy and being a meditator. But honestly, all those teachings that I had and my practices were not getting me the inner freedom, which is the name of my yoga business, Inner Freedom Yoga. They weren't actually giving me the full type of inner freedom that I was seeking. Like, I was struggling in my relationships. I was struggling around self-esteem and, not feeling lovable or likable, or my friendships were not as I wanted them to be. My communication was not as I wanted it to be. So even though I had all that yoga, it wasn't enough. And so I sought coaching. I sought mentorship. I got into a training that gave me conscious living practices and conscious loving practices with my mentors. And then through that, I became a coach because so much transformed in my life. I just went, wow, I've got to share this. And I started to call it the yoga of relationships, that work, because it really felt like taking the Eastern teachings that I've been living more off the mat. Even though the teachings are meant to be off the mat, it just really brought it home into the day to day of like the relationship struggles and all that. So, and the body centered part is that the teachings like yoga are very body centered. Everything that I've studied, beyond the yoga teachings has been somatic. So the coaching and the trauma work is very somatically oriented, where we invite people to access their body wisdom, because without that, not a lot changes. So when you go to traditional therapy, often it's very intellectualized. And so you get concepts, but you don't actually experience the changes, at least as quickly as you could when you include your body wisdom. So that's what I found, and my clients have found, is that a lot happens more quickly when all of us is part of, the process.
I love that so much. And I so resonate with your story, because I started out the same, meditation, yoga, and found that so transformative, and then did a teacher training and started, sharing that wisdom with other people. And then realized, okay, there was more that I felt like, some healing, and there's always, like we're like onions, peeling a layer off, and hired a mentor, and realized there's so much more tools and practices available. And especially like you're saying, really tuning into the body's wisdom, and unlocking that, and trauma. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. Like what type of relationships you work with? Is it couples? Is it just women? And what that means in terms of like working with people in that type of work.
Yeah. So I work with mostly women, though I have supported men and couples for sure. I love it. I love it all. But being a woman, I understand women, and so that's just fun for me. And I really love supporting women, especially around issues like I experienced: self-esteem issues, anxiety, and relationship challenges and communication challenges. And so I work with women who are in relationships, who are married, who have kids. I work with women who are in between relationships, divorced, younger or older. It's really quite broad, actually. And some women are more struggling in their relationship with their mother, or their relationship with their best friend, or their kid. So it's really across the board, because the issues that we're dealing with are old and usually childhood based, even though we
Yeah.
might not get that initially. And so they're going to show up in all of our relationships at work. I worked with a woman for over 2 years who, it was a lot about work, but honestly, we helped her relationship with her daughter, her relationship with her husband, her relationship with her mother, but
Yeah.
her relationship with herself, and that's where it all starts, is how we see ourselves, how we treat ourselves, um, who we think ourselves to be, our identity. So we're looking at all these levels of the self in the work.
Yeah. So good. And what would you say is like a main, since you work mostly with women, and I find that obviously we're Women's Month and International Women's Day that just passed, what would you say is some of kind of the main blocks for women in the relationships, and what are maybe some tips on how they can get to the front side of that?
Yeah. So big question. Let's keep it simple. But women, I find, like I've been saying, tend to have self-esteem issues, insecurities, a lot of fear about not being liked, about being rejected, not being good enough. Like put a yes in the comment or raise a hand if that's true for you. I don't think I've talked to anyone who doesn't have those thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, and
Mm,
then based on our early childhood and types of trauma that we've experienced, then we're more or less likely to kind of play that out by being the pleaser, the one who always says yes and is nice and never wants to say no because you don't want to be rejected.
yeah.
But then what happens is you end up being inauthentic and 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 then resentful because you're actually not showing up as you truly are. And then you get mad because people are liking you who for the facade that you're putting on, but then they're not really getting to know who you are because you're hiding it because you're trying so hard to get liked and avoid rejection. So there's this whole dance that goes on that's like so much work when you're going through these like calisthenics to be seen, but you're not really letting yourself be seen. So that's one example. Another is when we, again, based on early trauma, I was just teaching to my group about this one around not honoring our needs and not
Mhm.
feeling worthy for who we are again. So if we were deprived of our needs for nurturing or attention, affection, or even basics like food and shelter, or someone was gone, and there was some abandonment that happened early in our lives, we could have a story, a belief that our needs are not important, or it's dangerous to have needs because if we do, we're going to get hurt, we're going to get punished, we're going to get, abandoned, neglected, and whatnot. So then we have all this baggage around needs and being needy, or if I have a need, then I'm bitchy or bossy or, too much or high maintenance and all that, judgment that gets put on us, not only by ourselves, but by society and men. And so there could be just a lot of stuff in the way of allowing our authenticity to shine through, which is I have needs because I'm a human being and we all have needs for lots of things. So that's another example of how trauma can affect just how we're showing up in the day-to-day with ourselves and in our relationships. And
Mhm.
especially I find those for women, but men too. Men, there's a lot of cultural baggage on men that they're not supposed to be vulnerable, they're not supposed to be sad, they're not supposed to, blah blah blah. So
Yeah, I find that's a big one. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've had to work through myself in my own inner and shadow work, and
mhm.
everything that you've mentioned. And it's very common, right, for women, just because we haven't really had that space and we haven't had that container where we can really feel safe to be authentic and to be really the truth of who we are. So, what would be some like a tip or two tips that you can give a woman right now that's watching on what she could do
Yeah.
to try to move through that, or just increase her awareness or consciousness, which I think is probably first and foremost,
Yes.
probably the first step.
I totally agree. Awareness is the first step to change. And so that awareness of when you're maybe saying yes when you want to say no, so not honoring your boundaries, that awareness of when you're holding back some truth that because you're afraid of what might happen. So then that we might call a subtle level of manipulation that's happening. So noticing those patterns in you, and instead of judging, adding more judgment that
Mhm.
because you're already probably doing that, just to have some curiosity about that. Like, what am I afraid of here? What am I telling myself is going to happen if I speak the truth? You know, a client of mine I was referring to earlier, she was in this wonderful marriage and she was so afraid her husband would leave her if she was authentic, if she really shared
Mhm.
herself. And in fact, the opposite was true. When we share ourselves with people who love us, they're like, they lean in like, oh, I've been
Mm,
wondering about that. I'm happy you're telling me who you are. So, so she got closer instead of her worst fear, which was the rejection.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, leaning in and yeah, so good. So I'd be curious to know because I know, we obviously had an unprecedented year last year where I think probably a lot of relationships were tried and tested, whether they were together and locked down or they were separated and isolated. What did
Mhm.
you find was really maybe a common relationship challenge, or maybe that some people might still be experiencing now because of this time of
Mhm.
great change? And again, what can you maybe your advice on how to work through that and what people are experiencing right now during this time?
Yeah. Yeah, such an important point. It's like stress is the first thing that comes to mind, that people have been under so much more stress with, you know, um, homeschooling, for example. I know I work with so many moms, and just
Mm.
it's so much to have your kids home all the time. It's like, I didn't sign up for that. So what the heck. And then not being able to go out, and so when we are under more stress, then we're it's going to come out in our relationships. We're going to feel the pressure of, like for one client, not having enough alone time,
Mhm.
not getting the space that she needs for herself. She's like locking herself in a room, or because her husband's working so much, because she's not working now, she barely gets time to herself. So the important piece there, or takeaway there, is to really, do what you need to do to honor your needs again, right?
Mhm.
Around stress. Is it space that you need? Is it a good friend to talk to? Is it a walk in the park, to get outside and get some fresh air? What do you need to honor, who you are? And how can you take care of that? It might be that you need to ask for something like, I need some childcare because I can't do it all myself, and um, and to really recognize that and I know we know this, but we don't always, follow through, is that when mom is happy, when we're
Mhm.
happy as individuals, everybody's happier,
That's
all of
it.
our relationships do better when we take care of ourselves. So that really has to be the cornerstone for relationship. And whether it's, maybe it's not just self-care, but maybe it's like how you're spending your time with, like, am I being creative enough? Am I getting out my creative juices? Or maybe this job feels like a dead end. Maybe I need to switch my career because I just feel so frustrated that I'm not getting like well used. I love that expression. We want to be well used so we feel like we're really contributing.
Mm.
So that's just another example of like when the heat's turned up on life, like you're working harder, or you're, in this like, pressure cooker with your family all the time, all the issues are gonna show themselves more.
Mhm.
So like we were saying, that a piece of awareness is going to be really important, to take a good look at that. Like, what's causing the frustration? What's causing the anxiety? And see if you can address some of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot of that with friends. As you know, I'm a wife, mother of two.
Mhm.
Thankfully, my kids have been in school since September in person,
Oh,
obviously with
wow.
with masks. But yes, I've been hearing from friends from around the world, and either it's was it in school, then in school, or hybrid model. So it's just, yeah,
Mhm.
it's been challenging. So it's good to hear that there
Absolutely.
is support, there are ways to work around it, and to know that, if you are a mom out there, that you're not alone in your struggle. The struggle's real. The struggle
Yeah,
is real. But
totally.
like you say, that it's a time where, in this global pause and global reset, I always say it's an opportunity to maybe, yeah, like shine some light on, like, what are those areas, like maybe you needed some time even before lockdown. Like, this is a time for
Right.
you to realize, where could you get a little bit more balance with you as
Mhm.
mom, or you as a couple, or
Yes.
or you as a family.
Yeah. And to get support in those areas
Mhm.
that, that you can't fix on your own, right? Because if you are having relationship issues, it's not always simple. It's often complex, looking at each person's stuff that they're bringing to the table. So I just want to plant a seed for that, that you get
Mhm.
some training or some coaching or mentorship or something that can support you in unwinding the patterns if you keep finding yourself in the same dynamics.
Yes, absolutely. Like getting support. And if it hasn't been working the way that you've been doing, then it's time to try a different way. Love
Yeah.
that, which is a perfect segue. I know that obviously you helping women in the relationships, a big key to that is communication.
Yes.
How we speak,
Yes.
how we hear, how we give and receive. So you
Yes.
are doing an incredible free training next
Mhm.
week. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, thanks. I'm super excited about this. It's called Get Heard, free communication training for women. And I call it that because that is one of the main complaints that women tell me, is that I don't feel heard or understood. And so put a yes in the comment if that's true for you, right? Because
Mm.
I think it's super common, and women come to me thinking, I need to improve my communication. We're getting in arguments too often, or someone's getting triggered and defended. And so the training is exactly to address these issues. It's to help you get heard and understood with skills that are totally applicable in daily life. So every day, there's 7 days of the training this time.
Mm.
Every day I'm going to give a takeaway practice that I want you to take home and actually implement with family or a coworker or somebody, a kid, and bring back and see how it worked, and get and ask your questions so that you can really get an embodied experience of communicating in a way that is really going to be effective. So there's 7 days of short trainings and implementable skills, and people come away with like, something really shifted for me. You'll see in some of the, if you look at the registration page, I know you're going to put up, you'll see some testimonials.
Yes, Misha's going to drop that in the comments underneath this
Nice.
video. Yeah.
Yeah, and these testimonials came right out of the last training of like, wow, this day this happened for me, this day that happened. So a lot can happen in a short period of time, because most of us honestly do not have very, skillful communication techniques. Most of us have not had training in communication. We've just modeled our parents, our
Yep.
culture, and this is my like stake in the ground, for we could all
Mm.
benefit from healthy communication skills. And I really do think
Yes.
we could change the world with that, because it starts in the family, it starts at home, in your relationships, and it ripples out into how you show up at work and how you show up with everybody. So let's do it. Let's change the world through like
Mm.
improving our relationships.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So Misha's dropping the comments in the comment section. You can get your free virtual seat 7 days. That's incredible. That starts Monday. Mondays at 15th. And what are
Yeah.
the times on that,
Yeah, so the
Robyn?
times I'm going to be live are 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, which I know is like middle of the night if you're in Europe. There is one slot, so that's Monday through Friday, the 15th to the 19th. Sunday, we're going to have a noon Pacific, so I think that's more like 8 or 9 p.m. for
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an interactive class on Zoom, where you're going to take some of those practices and actually work with each other and learn and get to ask questions. And that's pretty juicy. And then we're going to have one more class Monday evening, the 22nd. And there will be replays, so you don't have to be there live. I'm not requiring anybody to get up at 2 a.m. But you do need to show up in the group, in the Facebook group is where it's happening, if you want to win prizes. And I'm giving away over $1,500 in prizes this time, which is more than I've ever offered before. So it's very engaging, and the prizes, are a lot about incentivizing you to show up and practice, because that's how you're going to get results. So so we make it fun, we make it a game, and we learn together, and it's a great way to learn.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, ladies. So don't miss this essential training with Robyn. She's really, truly a gem, and it's so important, right? Relationships, communication. And like Robyn said, we think it has to do with work, or we think it has to do with our partner, but it's all related. It's all related. How we talk to ourselves, our relationship to ourselves, and how that ripples out with everybody we come in contact with, and then the entire world. So I love what you're doing, the work that you're doing. So important. So don't miss it. And like Robyn said, if you can't catch it live because you're on European time, there's going to be the watch parties, it replays, and then Robyn has that Sunday. He said 12 p.m. Pacific, so that would be 7 and
yeah,
9 p.m., 8 and 9 p.m., something like that.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
that'll
Awesome,
be a fun
awesome.
class. Yeah.
Yay! So good. I know I'll catch the replays, and then hopefully on Sunday I can join you for a bit of that.
Yeah,
And
come live and get it in your
yeah,
body.
it's so powerful when you get all the women together and doing the practices and tools and knowing that, this stuff works and you're not alone. You're not alone out there.
Exactly. We're not alone in it. We all could benefit from this stuff.
So good. So since in the spirit of Women's History Month and International Women's Day passed, I'd love to hear from you. Who was one woman who has inspired you to be the woman you are today?
Yeah, there's so many,
I know.
but I wanted to choose my stepmother for this because she just turned 80 and she's such a dear. She's been in my life since I was like 11 probably, and she's been just a really solid source of compassion and kindness and warmth and generosity, and she's been a great model of communication for me, honestly, too. Really a great listener. Like, who doesn't love a great listener? So she's shown me how to do that. So I really send her my love and so much gratitude for her presence in my life.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I see that Rachel is joining us. She says, hello, sisters. Yes to healthy relationships. She's saying, thank you, Robyn and Leslie. So yes, if you are still on here, let us know that you are here joining. And if you have a question for Robyn, because we're about to wrap it up. I know she's busy woman, but one last question. What advice would you give your younger self now that you've had all these life experiences?
The advice would be to relax and have a lot of fun. And you're perfect just as you are. It's not so much advice, but a reminder.
Yeah, I love it. I can totally hear it. So good. Thank you so much, Robyn, for all your wisdom, for joining us here on our On Purpose Connection series and being part of our collective here and sharing what you're doing in this world and how you are changing lives, changing relationships, and helping to help heal the world. So it's been really an honor to have you here. This is an incredible training, ladies. You don't want to miss it. Or if you are a gentleman that's watching this training and you have a special woman in your life, you definitely want to have her come and join Robyn. This is like some really incredible training. Really, really. So really great that you're doing this.
Thank you, Leslie. I'm so honored to be here in your community. Thank you very much for having me. And it's a pleasure to share. I hope, thanks for all the work you're doing in the world to raise the vibration of women on purpose. It's so beautiful and fun to watch. So
thank you, Robyn. Thank you. We'll catch you at your training. Okay. Bye, Robyn.
Bye.
Okay, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been lovely to have you. Again, if you are catching the replay, still go ahead and drop your comments, engage with us, ask your questions. Robyn is a fellow collective member here in our Facebook group. So I know that she'll be going back in there with me and tracking your comments and answering any of your questions, and just let us know that you are catching the replay or you're watching live. And again, you definitely want to sign up for this incredible free 7-day communication training for women called Get Heard. And again, that link is underneath the comments of this video. And that link is tinyurl.com/women get heard. tinyurl.com/women get heard. Okay, beauties, So tomorrow, same time, same place, I have another special woman for you. This time it's a local here in Barcelona, although she's not from here, but I'll let you know this weekend who'll be joining us. But until then, do click on that link and register for Robyn's free 7-day communication training. I'll be catching the replays and hopefully I'll be there on Sunday to join on live. So happy Women's History Month and hope you all are having a blessed day and a beautiful rest of your week. Much love, many blessings. Bye, everyone.